Right. Pokemon Go. The first time I ever heard about it was I was on the SkyTrain here in Vancouver, and the SkyTrain is basically just like the subway system that you'd see in any city, but it's in the sky, because they couldn't build it below ground. Mostly, it's above ground. But I was on the train, and the ads were Pokemon, and I'm like, oh, that's crazy. There's Pokemon ads. What's the new game? And it's Pokemon Go, and I was surprised. I never heard about this. I'm guessing this might have been like maybe spring of 2016 or something. And then flash forward a couple months later, I'm on Facebook checking my feed, and one of my friends posts a screenshot, and I realized, oh my god, it's that thing I saw on the SkyTrain. And I look at my phone, and my phone is an iPhone, and I happen to live in Canada. So when I went to the App Store to get this app, it obviously didn't exist. So I had a tablet, and it was an Android tablet, and I realized, well, if I want an app I can't have, I just sideload it. So I sideloaded the game, Don't Tell Niantic, and yeah, I got to play the buggiest thing I've ever walked outside for. It was amazing. And I started walking around, and it was actually really exciting to go to the intersection and spin these things, Pokestops. And then Pokemon showed up, and I got myself a Charmander, and it was actually it was I realized this was the game that kind of like the Pokemon Company wanted us to play a long time ago, where you actually like go and walk and exercise and probably meet people in person. And that was probably my first experience with this game. And then it turned into, well, how do I find people to play with? Which led me to Reddit, which led me to things like the Sylph Road and into Discord. And then we just started building communities from there. But it was definitely the sort of thing where, like, if you wanted something to happen, you had to do it yourself. So it kind of turned into a lot of hard work on my behalf to get anything done. And yeah, finally, when raids existed, people were less resistant to collaborating, and it just blew up from there in 2017 rather.
Okay. All right. You want to give Sty the $1 million question?
Yeah. Does Libra want to hang out for it, or do you have
Libra?
to take off?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good, man.
Well, we were gonna try to tackle now what is an ambassador, right? And so it's kind of a difficult question, and I think even when I've talked to Niantic employees, they even kind of struggle to give you like a real answer, I guess. But we have obviously the hurdles that we have to overcome to get into the program. For starters, you have to have a campfire group. You have to have X amount of meetups with photos of a set amount of people, and then they do a background check, and they go through, I think, your community and check to make sure like how you're communicating there. And then once you've cleared everything, there's a waiting period, and then you get finally accepted. But beyond that, like, what is an ambassador?
$1 million question, eh?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that in $1 million US dollars or 1 million Canadian? Because let me tell you, the dollar ain't so good for me right now.
1 million pounds.
I'll take it. 1 million pounds. Still beats the Canadian dollar. Gosh, how do I say something that's not cliche? So, yes, obviously, a Pokemon Go community ambassador is going to be someone who, first and foremost, is, as an individual in the community, represents what Niantic wants that connection to be. And when I say that, I mean they want a player who is following the rules, who teaches others about those rules, and expects people to respect those rules. That is going to be the first and probably the most key thing. And that is going to be a barrier for people if they've made choices in the past that they did or did not know were against the rules. Because obviously no one reads the fine print. But, beyond that, ambassador, it's a difficult question to answer, because if you go into, for example, we have a Discord server for all the community ambassadors. And if you go in there and you look at all what is there, like 1,000 ambassadors now? At least
Now there
800.
is, yeah. Hmm.
And that's an enormous amount of people, and we are not all the same. What do we all have in common? We agreed to follow the rules. We agreed to represent the game's terms of service, and we all work with the community. And we host meetups, or we participate in meetups. But we go to meetups in person, personally, to interact with people. Those are the things. But everything else, it's very I don't want to say it's nebulous, because there is a core thing that comes down to you're going to be someone that your community is comfortable approaching with questions about the game. They're comfortable with attending to achieve their game goals, right? Attending their meetups to achieve those game goals, and going to for help if they don't know how to really get started, maybe becoming ambassador themselves or just hosting meetups on their own. It's not so much that you're the go-to person for all these things, but you're an option. You are someone who other people might point out, someone that other people might be like, this person possibly can help you, or at least help you figure out where they can go, or who might have the patience for that. But at the same time, an ambassador is not like someone who is obligated to do and be all these things for the community. They're a resource that will make as much time as they can, as it makes sense with their own personal lives. And again, still representing what Niantic expects as someone who's being trusted with the perks of being an ambassador. But I honestly feel it comes down to, you are someone who's available, and you're someone who wants to communicate. And those are some things that are done very differently in very different communities. And it's kind of like the play style, for example, is going to be very different in very different communities. Because like Libro was saying, is it Libro or Libro? I gotta ask.
Libro. Libro's fine.
Okay,
It doesn't matter
so
which way you say it, but Libro's fine.
Yeah. So I'll accept Sty, because you're Americans and you do things different. But I do normally people say Stee or Stidge or Steege. I'll let you know. But anyways, so, as Libro, as you were saying, in New York, you guys gotta, if you're gonna do a bunch of raids, you're driving. You're in a car, and everybody is probably doing like a convoy to get things done. In my city, depending where you are in the metro region, same thing. You are a car convoy driving from raid to raid to raid. In my neighborhood, where I host in the city of Vancouver, we walk raid to raid to raid. Worst case scenario, we jump on the SkyTrain and we train to another part of the area to do another raid. But yeah, that ambassador is going to be someone who's willing to communicate, is open to communicate, and if someone is asking too much of that ambassador, the ambassador will just communicate, hey, this is outside of what I do for people, but here's where you can get that information or get that answer or get that service that you're looking for. They have to be someone who will communicate in a way that's I don't want to just say friendly, but also, more importantly, they can get the information across in a way that's not going to make it awkward, I guess, for people, in an open way, effectively.
Yeah, I think we have like one set requirement, and that is, well, they say they're changing it probably, but it's the 8 community days in a year, right? And I think any active ambassador is going way beyond that at this point. Like, there's so many events going on and everything. So, but beyond that also, it's more like, so then you have the community ambassador, but then what's the community ambassador group, right? So is it the people that you're there that are in your group that are participating in your events? Is it the location that you're hosting at, or is it the 2 ambassadors? Kind of was one of the questions I've brought up before when they've asked me, because we're in an area that's densely populated. At this point, you can go down the street and run into 14 different ambassadors, right? And it won't take you super long to do. And so when the active ambassadors can get asked, like, we have this local group coming up nearby you. Can you give us a little more information about this group, right? And it's when I try to answer that question, it's, well, can you tell me like how I should answer the question? Like, what would qualify them versus like, are they too close, or do they have too many of the same members? And so that's been kind of a discussion I've been having lately when that gets brought up, and I haven't really had a good answer so far for that, but
Yeah, and obviously not to discuss things that are private in the CA group, but there was one communication that made me feel like it comes down more to the community, the group of players. For example, in Metro Vancouver here, Metro Vancouver is a group of cities. It's the city of Vancouver, it's the city of Burnaby, the city of Richmond, etc. And but there's also the city of Vancouver. My group, I labeled it a long time ago Metro Vancouver, because sometimes we play in Vancouver, sometimes we meet in Burnaby, sometimes we meet in North Vancouver, sometimes I take them out to Coquitlam. It just depends on whatever our goal is, who we want to hang out with. Do other people in the region really want some help with their raids or their events? And and then the people who are in my Discord server or who are in my campfire group, those are going to be some, there's going to be some core players who will be like, okay, well, Stygian's here today, so we're going to go there. Stygian is an hour in the other direction today, but we're going to go there because that's where she is. In some cases, it's like, well, she's not even doing what I want to do today, but that group over there is, so I'm going to hang out with them. So, it feels like what Niantic might be leaning towards is it's who your core community is, who your player base is, who hangs out with you. That's your community. And wherever you pick that community up and go to for the day, again, that's you as an ambassador leading them around, because they have faith in you, they trust you, and there's that rapport there that you've built up over however many years or months. And meanwhile, yeah, you're going to have neighbors who are, in some cases in the same city. We have, obviously, Los Angeles is going to be one of the most massive cities in the world. So that you guys have like 1,000 CAs alone is not going to be surprising in the coming future. But, for us down here or up here in Vancouver, we have the city of Surrey. And there's 3 different ambassador groups in the city of Surrey, and they're all very far apart. But they all represent a very specific park spot. They rarely ever host outside of their specific park locations. There's one group, the Surrey Spearows, they sometimes will host outside of their core location. They do have 2 ambassadors there, so one will host at the core location, and then another will go to a different spot to help build up that community, to help get more people to come out, so that group can one day get the attendance they need to be their own ambassador group as well. Because, they are far from where the rest of us host, and we could obviously get up and drive and hang out with them more often, but that's not something that we do often in a city that it's kind of more friendly to public transportation. But yeah, I feel like Niantic might be leaning towards a direction where it's like your community is your group. So wherever you migrate to for the day, if it's outside of your favorite park location, that's fine, because you will probably have overlapping community players. But the most important thing is that the player base is playing the game the way Niantic would like us to play it, and they can attend a meetup that enforces encourages playing by the rules and rewards players with all the different perks that we get, whether it's the code cards we share out, the prize merchandise we share out. But basically it's our communities can be as big or as small. It doesn't really matter. It's more important that everyone is slowly can achieve the goals of playing the way the game is supposed to be played. But like, because it's sort of. Oh, I was just gonna say, like, it's sort of crazy that, like, what is my group at? Like, my group is closing in on 7,000 members on Campfire. My Discord community is 5,300. But my attendance numbers, it really depends on the meetup, right? It doesn't matter really how many people are in that group. It's how many are attending. And, with different meetups, we get different numbers. The weekly stuff, so stuff like a Max Monday, which is not a check-in event. It's not a rewards event. People obviously should be checking in, but there's no reward for checking in on Campfire. Spotlight Hour on Tuesday has rewards for checking in. Wednesday's Raid Hour has rewards for checking in. All of these attract different amounts of people based on what the Pokemon is being featured, right? So those kind of things, different cities, different communities are going to have different results for sure. And then the bigger events, like a Go Tour, like a Go Fest, like a Community Day, again, those are the ones that actually, I think, truly define the size of a community. How many people show up to your park site to take advantage of your check-in reward? And if you're the host for that, or rather you're the ambassador for that, how many of those people are actually engaging with you? And I think that's a significant representation of what that size of the community is. Because a lot of people, I might get 300 to 400 check-ins, but I might not actually say hi to 300 to 400 people unless I'm giving something physical out for free, And, but I think that's okay at the same time, because as long as players are benefiting again and enjoying their playtime, I think it's okay if people kind of overlap where the locations are, where they frequent, because it's being able to represent the attitude and play style that Niantic really hopes us to be. What's the word I'm looking for? Encouraging.
Sijin, can I just jump on what you were saying with that though? This is something that, like, I've talked to a few people about, which is what I've always wanted to do, because again, not many people are able to go around and travel, right? One of the things I always thought that would be cool if they had something like this, because obviously since my work schedule is crazy, I'm a school psychologist for 6 different schools. And it's crazy with it's a whole thing here in New York City. That's for a whole nother show. That's a whole nother day. I'll talk about my grievances then. But I work hard so that I can travel and do these things. But one of the things I always wanted to do is just like, again, blending in what you all do as CAs. One of the things I always wanted to do is like, okay, I can't be a CA because, I do have a lot of other moving parts and I'm with people in different various regions or going to different cities to meet up with other CAs, see their groups and everything. I would love to have if there was like some sort of like travel tier or something like where it's like, if I'm not a CA, I want to be able to bring more attendance and stuff and give shout outs to CAs of different regions. And like one of the things I was super thankful for, like the CAs in Fukuoka, oh my God, top tier, stellar, awesome people. I definitely, for Mikey, and then you had Dylan, amazing freaking people. They speak English and Japanese, and they're just phenomenal. One of the things I always want to do, like I want to definitely gamify in that system, because there are a few of us that are able to travel and go around to a lot of events. I've always wanted it to be kind of like, like a Where's Waldo sort of thing of like, not like, a CA, because that's what you guys do, but being able to kind of like, I would love to do partnerships with you all, like where if Niantic gave me like, let's say like a Safari Zone sort of Eevee sort of thing, give me the cards and you have to come find the people that travel to the other countries. But it'd be like, I would talk to you and be like, hey, I'm going to be in your region, and you do like a little shout out thing. I don't know, maybe if you come to our checkout, like Scott will be here, aka Libra will be here, and you might have something special, have like special codes. So it's like a one-time encounter of a Eevee, but it's because it's something like that. Because the Eevee with the the little hat on, the little safari thing, it's for that, to kind of like encourage people to go to the events. Like, you got this one free Eevee. This one could be shiny, but imagine if you went to Safari, a city safari, you can get these EVs here. Or like if we were going to like Japan, here's like one that came from the Fukuoka region. Like, I just always thought it would be fun and somewhat engaging because, like I said, I like to interact with so many people around the globe with it, but I also would love to be able to give people Pokemon from those events. Obviously, we can't do mass trades of legendaries, but I just always thought it'd be cool because my biggest thing, I want to bring more highlights to a lot of the CAs and regions, especially where they have these events. And I would love to do stuff like that. I just think it would just be fun. Again, like a whole little Where's Wild thing where you have to be there, you have to be in person to get those sort of special rewards and bonuses, And I think Niantic has the right job with these check-ins and stuff like that. And you're getting like, an incubator or a raid pass. But I think just to incentivize a little bit more where it's like maybe you never thought about traveling outside of your comfort zone. Here's a reason to do so. So it's kind of a little bit of an incentive thing. I don't know. I just thought something like that would be cool to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if only to bring attention to people in those areas that there is a community nearby
Yes.
them.
Yes.
Because that's something
Yeah.
else that exists is, again, people coming back to the game and they're just coincidentally in the right place at the right time. They
Mhm.
looked at their phone, they're like, oh, there's a raid battle here. I'll go stand right here and hopefully someone else will come stand here too. And then in walks a CA with a, horde of nerds. And,
Mhm.
that's one new person who joins your campfire group, and then they join you for the rest of the raid walk. And they got way more done that day than they ever planned to.
Yes.
And I think, Campfire is an amazing tool that Niantic has finally created to really get people to find other players, and in a safer way. Because, like you mentioned, they've had other games in the past, such as Ingress, and Ingress's communication tool was not a safe way
Mhm.
to interact with
Mm-mm.
people, let alone
No,
the
no.
same team. And they found out the hard way in Ingress that you can't have covert conversations in the game. You had to go and have those in a different online medium. And then you had to screen your members, and oh gosh, it was well, it was something, but
It was something.
it was
That's
something.
all you need to say.
But Campfire, meanwhile, I feel like I don't know if you go in and look around the map and check out all the other groups that show up around you. But so far in Campfire, they've done a really good job of keeping things safe, keeping things mostly clean, from a PG perspective. But there are communities that pass those boundaries. There are DMs that pass those boundaries, and it's up to users to report those if they want to or not.
Yeah.
And I feel like it still has a long way to go, but just getting people to be able to find out where they can find their neighbors, I think is something that's really valuable. And yeah, encouraging people to maybe explore a little bit, whether that's, gosh, I keep wanting to use kilometers, but I know none of you understand that that
We
trick.
do. We're sophisticated, right?
Whether that's just a couple miles radius from where you normally hang out, or maybe like even you have to go a little bit further, like 20 or maybe even like at worst 30 miles. I feel like just giving players a better map, like we've been getting through Campfire, giving them a map that loads more efficiently, more effectively, and you can see more meetup groups. I feel like that's something that'll help people find each other better. But also, yeah, if they advertised in game, hey, this group over here has something special for you that only they have, I think that would definitely attract people to come out, And
Right.
whether that's literally just us as CAs having the little physical, team merchandise, or if it was actually tradable Pokemon, that would be really great. I think that would work really effectively.
And that's like one of the things is, again, like I trust you all. I mean, you've all been vetted, you've all been trusted, you're all wonderful, lovely people. And I feel like, when I go to other countries, I love meeting up with those CDAs because they show me a good, fun, safe time. And it's one of the things where I've had some people that I know that have never traveled outside. They want to go to some of these countries or places. Like, it doesn't even have to be country, like, or even like a far country, or like coming up there to Vancouver. I've been there. I know very little of the places to go because I've been there a few times. But I would love it if like my friends are like, "Hey, Scott, I want to go to the Vancouver area. You said it's really nice, but I'm afraid to go. I don't know what to do, where to be." It would be just really pleasant. Be like, "Oh yes, this CA, go over here, or this CA, go to this region." They can help. Like, just contact them, go meet them there. You're set. I love that availability to do that, especially with Japanese friends and people that are coming over here. They may not feel very confident speaking English or no English at all, but at least I know I could put them in touch with a CA who would be good working with them just using Google Translate, you know? So I love that aspect, being able to, yeah, this is a good place to go. Here's your contact, you know? I just I think that would be really cool to have something like that. Just, and especially, let's say you guys know best, right? You know the other CAs who have a very small community, but people are coming to visit in their area. I know they would probably like to have the extra, damage and raids, or just like to meet up with other people from another region. And let's face it, let's all say the truth here. When we get to travel and go places, we save a lot of money on packaging and putting it through the postal. Okay, so we can bring stuff for each other.
I don't know. As a CAs, they just ship us stuff for free. It is absolutely nuts the amount of post they pay. But
Yeah, but they could save it if they gave it to some of us that travel and we could bring it to the CAs. I'm just saying, hint, hint, wink, wink. I would do it.
entire luggage full of merchandise. That would actually be really funny.
I would do it. Do not tempt me. I will make it happen, and it'll be grandiose.
Dude, not right now, okay? We'll do that in a little bit.
Oh. Well, it looks like people just muted his mic again. I feel like you answered the question a lot better than I expected. I mean, you answered it better than I did. I don't have an answer to that. What is an ambassador? He said I'm neither. I don't have a great answer to that. I just do the best I can, and it's like Libro said, we do the best to help everybody out who needs the help. People do come up, they do ask us questions, like the returning players or new players, and it brings a lot of joy to me because just seeing smiles and laughter and a lot of joy in these kind of meetups is by far one of the best feelings. I can't explain how it is. Just seeing other people having a good time gives you a good, like, it gives you a happy feeling. And you just, it's just it's a bunch of nerds just enjoying a nostalgic game that's been out. Not the game, but the topic, Pokemon, has been out for so long that as us adults now, it's a nostalgic feeling for us. As kids growing up, we've always wanted to be Pokemon trainers. I'm not going to deny that. And I am now.
Absolutely.
I am now. I can be. I can call myself one. I'm a big nerd to it. And I enjoy it. I enjoy every minute of it. I enjoy every second hanging out with every people because you're just meeting new people, and that's the joy I get from it.
Yeah,
I agree with that as well. Yeah.
It's like, how many things these days do you go out and you find people with similar likes and interests and you get to hang out with them in person, right? There's almost nothing. And I get that a lot too when we're walking around the park with our group, and you'll have someone well, by now most of them will know, like, oh, it's probably Pokemon at this point. But they'll come up and ask and be like, how are you getting a group to look at their phones at this park right now? Like, I don't even understand this concept. And I'll have these conversations with, and it could be any generation, anyone, and they'll be like, you know what, this actually looks interesting. Like, I don't have too many friends nearby. I'm not like, I would love to come out, and there'll be the more outgoing people. I'd love to come out and chat with some people and have a common interest with them, on like a regular basis. And we have lots of little friend groups that are like, now they do everything together, not just play the game, right? That have come from this game. And so you see them, I can go drive by the park at any time and they'll be eating at the restaurant there and chatting and stuff, and it's just really cool to see. So
that's really special. Yeah, I've seen a lot of that over the years, and a A little bit. It kind of killed a few of my city servers because some of the most active locals. It's not so much that they didn't want to engage with the rest of the community, but it's just when you have such a wide variety of people, not only do people build those friendships in their own little cliques, but they realize that there are some players that don't really mesh in with the way that they want to be communicated with, and so
Mhm.
they create their own little microcosm to just keep
Mhm.
it friendly the way they want it to be friendly. And and the public servers, the city servers that we have out here, if the moderation team is more, I guess, open-minded to how different people communicate, that's just going to rub some people one way or another, and you lose that interaction. But hopefully those players are still enjoying the game the way they want to enjoy it. And I think with something like what we have now on Campfire, I think that's a better way to help people create their little micro groups, their cliques and stuff like that. Um, because then it could just be focused on their neighborhood, the park
Mhm.
that they always go to. And if they're welcoming of new people to come join them, which whenever you meet these people in person, they are so welcoming. It's sort of like, it's not a matter of what your background is. It's not a matter of what your lifestyle is. We all really enjoy Pokemon Go because it's Pokemon.
Yeah.
It's exactly like you said, Ghostface. This is Pokemon. And that's the core thing that we're all attracted to is Pokemon. But then all the other little things about the way this game operates is what keeps us here. The ability to just play a little bit of Pokemon a week, or play a lot of Pokemon in the week, or for me, it's forcing myself to go for a walk every week, because if I don't have to leave the house because I can work from home, I'm not getting exercise in. But let me tell you rather, sorry. When Niantic decided that the pandemic was over and they put restrictions on remote raiding, yeah, I had spent the past couple years not going out for walks, and that was terrible for my health. So in the past, what are we, 2025 now? So in the past 2.5 years, I've lost 60 pounds just from walking every week now. And that has
Congrats.
really, really made a huge improvement, obviously, not just for me physically, but emotionally, mentally, and those in-person interactions with people, that was something the pandemic took away from me. And I didn't realize that even though I'm an introvert and I can only have so much energy every day for people, I need to be around people because humans keep me sane.
Mhm.
Like those in-person conversations, it doesn't matter if they're a stranger, a friend, just someone you play Pokemon with. That interaction, I think, is really important for people. And this is one way for people to build a hobby, and it doesn't matter how much or how little they engage in that hobby. It's something they can do as often or as little as they want, but always get that exercise, possibly. Always get that interaction, possibly. Um, have an opportunity to build new friendships, possibly. It's up to them how much they want to engage her a little. It's up to them how much they, you know, want to put in or just take out. But having the ability to host these meetups, having the ability to reward people for showing up to a meetup, I think that gives so much more of a that gives so much more to people than Niantic is possibly taking. Yeah, some of us have spent thousands of dollars on this game, way more than we're going to freely admit right now. But
Mhm.
you can play this game for free. You can walk around and not spend a single dime. It's an option.
Mhm.
But and you can still just reap all the rewards that having a community of just like-minded people will offer.
I think it's one of the things, just real quick, to just say to that too, Stidgy, and you may bring up a good point with that too, is like, and this is in no way defending Niantic or anything like that, but it's like anything you do, right? Like, there's people that gamble, there's people that spend billions of dollars on sneakers, cars, clothes, fashion, and all these other things. Like, you know, you you bring up a really good point, and I think that's one of the things. that's important for people to remember. Play it the way you want. And again, I'm doing it for the shinies, I'm doing it for the hundos or something that's really rare. But at the end of the day, I continue to play this because one, yeah, I am having fun. It's Pokemon, been around since OG days, and I do love it, and it is fun for me. But you all, like, just you guys alone, like having this interaction, having this talk right now, having this opportunity, you all are what make it really fun, and I enjoy meeting you all live and in person. And again, like you play it any way that you want. You want to play it a little, do it a little. You want to do a lot and go hardcore, be that person, go ahead and do it. And it's like one of those things where it's like we can all sit here till the cows come home and freaking tell all the time, talk about all the stuff that Niantic could do, couldn't be doing, yada yada yada, good, bad, negative, and what have you. At the end of the day, it is just a game. Like, tomorrow the servers could go offline. And it's one of those things that's like, what do you just do? Do you just not talk to these people? No, it's like, when you're playing this game, you're interacting with people. I'm hoping that you're making connections with people because again, the game could go dark tomorrow. Niantic could be like, all right, we're out of business, we're done, we're not doing it. Pokemon Company could be like, yeah, we're not going to do it anymore. That's it, done. Had a great run, guys. Turn off the light. But the connections that I've made with these people, that I have made with people, I've gone to friends' weddings and been in people's significant parts of their lives. And these memories, I will never, ever, ever be able to get back. And I wouldn't have had these memories or met these people or be in the position that I am had I not had this medium. And yeah, it could be any other sort of medium, but for right here, right now, for this moment in time, I will never ever say that having Pokemon Go, having it be a medium, a source of interaction, talking, and a platforming, a jumping platforming to making more solid connections with other good human beings like you all. It is something that you cannot put a price tag on that. Yeah, there's money involved, but it has nothing to do with the money. It's about the people. And like I am thankful for the opportunity that has been given for us to actually interact with one another.
It's kind of turned into a global travel guide network.
Well, that's interesting to see that because, before we had Campfire, that's exactly what that little grassroots group tried to do. I don't know, a little
you're
group
the
called
one
the
bringing
Sylph
it up.
Road.
You told me not to bring
Hey,
it up.
nah.
Bring
I was
what
just
up,
picking
pal?
on you. No, this was the logical direction that this game would go in. Way before the game even launched publicly, there was already a grassroots network that was building communities to connect players around the world, if only to trade Pokemon. But then it became so much more than that, and they were the first people to create a map of communities globally, where you can join Discord servers, you can join WhatsApp groups, you can join Facebook groups, and find locals wherever you went, ideally. And it wasn't a perfect system and it wasn't a perfect group, but there was no mistaking that what the Sylph Road built was what this game needed. And it was honestly kind of unbelievable that Niantic decided, you know what, we're going to do this now. And I'm glad they did it when they did because, as we know, we don't have the Sylph Road the same way that we used to anymore.
Yeah.
Bless the research group for continuing. And now we have Campfire that can continue and, be a global map of communities.
So when the Sylph Road kind of took over, there's that transition period where they were kind of handling the ambassador vetting, right? Were you involved in that at all, or?
I had already retired from the Sylph Road before
Gotcha.
that happened, but I did get in. I think it wasn't the very first group of people, whoever were the absolute alpha testers of it, but as soon as it was brought up, it was very easy to make sure my community was high enough in standings to qualify and be brought in ahead of all the really hard vetting process that everyone seems to be going through these days.
It's the patience is the hardest part.
Oh, the patience. I feel for you guys so much. But at least you guys don't have to deal with, my gosh, the Slack community.
Oh.
Oh, that's a platform and a half. But
Mm-hmm.
It did not
Yeah,
scale
and
well, that's for sure.
no, but it's working okay on Discord. I think it just now that we have a lot of volunteers to help in the Discord side of the the community ambassador program. I think things will be a little bit more streamlined than they are now. At least hoping so. But yeah, it's an opportunity for just more people who are passionate about being volunteers to offer their time, to offer what they've learned, and try to share that with people who are similar to the way that they run things. Because it's like, obviously not all communities do things the same, but if there's another community who lives in a city that's walkable, maybe that CA has information or experience that's valuable to me that I can learn from, or a CA who's in a community that's frankly only drivable, that would be someone, maybe a New York CA could benefit from and maybe learn something from. Everyone has different experiences, and I think CAs all kind of being held to the same, hopefully standard of trying to be as friendly as they can and hold our tempers as best we can. I feel like it's an opportunity to, not so much about learning best practices, but learning things we can choose for ourselves and for our groups. Just seeing other options that we might not have considered. And when I'm in there and I'm reading around, I do find things a lot of the time. Or even, my local CAs who are also from BC, they'll bring up something that they found. Or, I saw someone post something, the way that they do contests for community days. And I'm like, I really like that contest. I'm going to do the exact same thing. And then I go to that CA and I'm like, hey, I'm going to steal this text from you. And he's like, well, I actually stole it from this group over here. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to steal it from you. And you took it from them. So I guess I'll quote the original. And then if I go and ask them, they probably took it from someone else. Who knows? But it's really great that you can see groups easier that way, just because we're all a part of a program that's kind of like holding people to at least a bare minimum standard. Kind of like you're saying, Libro. But we're all still human. We're all still very, very, very human. And I think that's something that as CAs we also need to forgive ourselves for. Because people, even when I was with the Sylph Road, people had this attitude where, they have to try their darndest to give everything, to give the very best. And maybe that's because of the Pokemon song at the very beginning of that show in its very first season. But, we should let ourselves be the best that we are. We don't have to strive to be better, but just be the best version of ourselves as we are now. And then over time, maybe we can improve little pieces of what we want to work on. Because if we go too hard, we just, we run out of energy. And then we can't even do the bare minimum for the community that we were doing before. And I think, you can only learn that by going through it the hard way. But I think if, as CAs and even as other, community volunteers, people can, maybe take a moment to have some patience with the people who are volunteering, whether it's locally or internationally, Because ideally people don't want to hurt each other's feelings, but sometimes it happens.
That's true. That's very true.
But no, overall, I think, for a CA, it's just someone who wants to help people succeed in their game goals, will personally give their time to be there in person to help others achieve those goals, but also do it in a way that the game developer, Niantic, wants to see those goals be worked on, and then promote playing the game that way in a very public way.
Well, my house is about to turn into a crazy place because it's bedtime. So
it's almost 9:00. It should be bedtime for your house.
yeah, well,
Libro's about to be
midnight.
One?
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, about to be 12.
Yeah.
About to be midnight. But that's all right. I'm good. Trust me, I'm good.
Well, I really do appreciate you guys taking your time and, doing this podcast with us. It means a lot to me. It does mean a lot to me. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. And when I brought up the idea to P-Ball, instead of questioning it, he actually initiated and continued on. And like I said, with everybody in this room that we're in right now, I appreciate all of your time. Many questions have been answered, and what is an ambassador has been answered very, very clearly, better professionally than I could have answered. I appreciate that, Sty.
We're just going to hear about this later, and there's going to be a lot of typing in on a certain Discord server, and they're all going to have very specific opinions on what's been said in here.
Yeah, that's okay.
But,